In my previous video, we built a full cash-on-delivery store using Google AI Studio and Supabase, plus a working admin dashboard that shows every new order automatically. But there was still one thing missing. Right now, you still have to open the dashboard manually to see when a new order comes in. So in this video, we're going to improve the system by adding automatic email notifications. Now every new order can instantly send an email to the store owner and even a confirmation email to the customer. Before we start, let me quickly show you how the final system works. A customer places an order on the storefront. The order is saved in Supabase and appears in the admin dashboard like before. But now, the store owner also receives an email instantly with the order details. And if the customer entered an email address, they receive a confirmation email automatically. So the whole system becomes much more practical. Now let's build it. So the first thing we need is a service that can send emails from our backend. For this project, I'm going to use Resend. It's a very simple email API that developers often use for transactional emails like order confirmations or notifications. So just go to the Resend website and click Get Started. From here, you can either create an account normally or simply sign in using your Google account. I'll just log in with Google to keep things quick. Once you're inside the dashboard, the first thing Resend asks you to do is create an API key. So here, I'm going to click Add API Key. This will generate a private API key that our backend function will use to send emails. This key is important and should always be kept secret, so don't share it publicly. For now, I'm just copying it and saving it in my notes because we'll need it later inside our backend function. After that, we need to connect our domain so the emails can be sent from our store's address. So in the left menu, go to Domains and click Add Domain. Here, you simply enter the domain that you want to send emails from. In my case, this is the domain of my store. Then, you also need to choose a region. Usually, it's best to choose a region that is closer to your users for better performance. In my case, I'll select North Virginia. Then click Add Domain. Now Resend will generate a few DNS records that we need to add to our domain provider. These records allow Resend to verify that we actually own the domain and that it's allowed to send emails on our behalf. So what I'm going to do is keep this page open and then go to my domain provider. In my case, I'm using Hostinger. So inside Hostinger, I'll go to the Domains section, find my domain, and click Manage. From here, I'll open the DNS Name Servers section. This is where we can add the DNS records that Resend gave us. Now, if I quickly go back to Resend, you'll notice that we only need to add a few records. The main ones are DKIM and SPF. These records basically tell email providers that Resend is allowed to send emails on behalf of our domain. So let's start with the first one, which is the DKIM record. As you can see here, the type is TXT. So I'll copy the name first. Then I'll go back to Hostinger. For the record type, I'll choose TXT. Then I'll paste the name here. Now I'll go back to Resend again and copy the content value. This is the verification key that Resend generated. Then I'll paste it here inside the TXT value field. For the TTL value, Resend shows it as auto, but since Hostinger doesn't have that option, we can simply set it to 3600. Then I'll click Add Record. Now let's add the next record. This one is part of the SPF configuration. First, I'll copy the type, which is MX. Then I'll go back to Hostinger and change the record type to MX. Next, I'll copy the name and paste it here. Then I'll copy the content value and place it inside the mail server field. For the priority, we'll set it to 10. And for TTL, we'll use 3600 again. Then click Add Record. Now there's one last record to add. This one is another TXT record used for SPF. So again, I'll copy the type, switch the record type to TXT, then paste the name here. Next, I'll copy the content value and paste it into the TXT value field. And just like before, we'll set the TTL to 3600. Then click Add Record. So once we've added all the DNS records, we can go back to Resend. Now here I'll click I've added the records. Resend will now check the DNS configuration to verify that everything was added correctly. This step may take a few minutes, depending on how fast your DNS provider updates the records. So you just need to wait a little bit. And as you can see, after a moment, the verification is completed. The domain status now shows verified, which means everything is configured correctly and Resend is now allowed to send emails from our domain. So the domain setup is done, but we're not done yet. Right now, we've only prepared the email service. We still need a way for our system to automatically send those emails whenever a new order is created. And for that, we're going to use Supabase Edge functions. So let's go to Supabase. Open the project connected to your store. Then, in the left sidebar, go to Edge Functions. Now click Deploy a new function and choose Via Editor. You can select it from here or from this button here. Both options do exactly the same thing. Once the editor opens, Supabase will generate a default function for you. We don't need this code, so I'll simply delete everything inside the file. Now, instead of writing the function from scratch, I'm going to paste a ready-to-use function. You'll find the full code in the video description. I actually wrote this code specifically for this tutorial, so you don't have to deal with writing everything yourself. I know many of you prefer focusing on building the project instead of spending time writing backend code. So just copy the code from the description and paste it here. Once the code is pasted, there are only two small things you need to change. First, the domain name in the sender email. Just replace it with your own domain, the same domain you verified earlier in Resend. Then the second thing is the email address that will receive the new order notifications. Simply replace this email with the one where you want to receive new orders. So every time a customer places an order, the system will automatically send the order details to this email. Before deploying, I'm just going to rename the function. I'll call it Send Order Email. And now I'll click Deploy Function. You might see this message saying Unsaved Changes. This simply appears because we modified the file before deploying. Since the function is already deployed, we can safely click Discard Changes. Now Supabase opens the function details page. And there is one important setting we need to change. Right here, you'll see the option Verify JWT. By default, this is turned on. But for this setup, we actually need to turn it off. The reason is simple. Our webhook will call this function automatically when a new order is created. But that request does not include a JWT authentication token. So if this setting stays enabled, Supabase will block the request and the email will never be sent. So I'll simply turn this off. And then click Save Changes. Now the function is fully ready. The last thing we need from here is the endpoint URL. This is the URL that allows Supabase to trigger the function. So I'll copy this endpoint. And just to keep things organized, I'm going to save it in the same note where I stored my Resend API key earlier. We'll need this endpoint in the next step. Now, for this function to actually send emails, we need to give it access to our Resend API key. But instead of putting the API key directly inside the code, the proper way to do this is by using secrets. Secrets allow us to store sensitive data securely inside Supabase. So in the left sidebar, I'll go to Secrets. Then here in the name field, I'll add Resend_API_key. And in the value field, I'll paste the Resend API key that I copied earlier. And now I'll click Save. At this point, I know it might look like we've done quite a few steps, but this is actually how real production-style systems are built. And the good thing is, once you set this up once, you can reuse the same structure in future projects too. Now we're ready for the final setup step. What we need to do now is tell Supabase exactly when this function should run. So inside Supabase, I'll go to Integrations. Then I'll open Database Webhooks. After that, I'll switch to the Webhooks tab and click Create a New Hook. Here in the name field, I'll give this webhook a clear name. I'll use send-order-email. And just like before, make sure you don't use spaces here. The name should be connected like this. For the table, we need to choose the table where all the store orders are being saved. In our case, that's the orders table, which we created in the previous video when we built the store database. So I'll select Orders. For the event, I only want this webhook to run when a new order is created, so I'll select Insert Only. Now down here in the webhook configuration, for the type of webhook, I'll use HTTP request. For the method, I'll leave it on post. And here in the URL field, I'll paste the endpoint URL that we saved earlier when we created the function. This is the function endpoint that Supabase will call every time a new order is inserted into the orders table. So I'll just paste that endpoint here. Everything else here can stay exactly as it is. We don't need to change anything else. So now I'll just click Create Webhook. And that's it. The full setup is now complete. So now it's time to test everything and make sure the whole system works correctly. I'm going to open the store just like a normal customer would. I'll click Order Now. Then I'll fill out the form with some sample information: the customer's name, phone number, email, city, and full delivery address. I'll also add a quick note just for testing. And now I'll click Complete Order. Now the order has been submitted. So let's check what happens next. First, I'll go to the email address that I set earlier to receive the store orders. This is the email that the store owner would normally use to receive new orders. And as you can see, the email arrived instantly. A new order has been received. If I open it, you can see all the details of the order. the customer name, email, phone number, city, full address, and all the order information. And at the same time, the customer also receives a confirmation email. I'll show you that on my phone. As you can see here, the customer immediately receives an email saying, "Your order has been received." And when we open it, the customer can see the order confirmation along with the product details and the delivery information. And of course, the order also appears inside the admin dashboard, exactly like we built earlier. So the store owner can see every new order directly inside the dashboard. And by the way, one quick thing I forgot to mention earlier, the email service we're using here, Resend, actually gives you 3,000 emails for free every month on the free plan. So for most small and medium projects, that's more than enough. It basically means you can send around 100 emails per day without paying anything. And that's it. This is everything you need to turn a simple store into a much more professional system with automatic order notifications. If you haven't watched the previous video where we built the full store and the admin dashboard from scratch, you'll find it in the description below, and it will also appear here on the screen right now. If this tutorial helped you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.